Hello and welcome back. We are doing our final exam review. So we have the find the vertex, access the symmetry, and the y-intercept. So for this guy, the very first thing that we have to do here is we have to realize what they're asking for. So this is a quadratic, right? And so because that's a quadratic, we have to find a, b, and c. What I mean by that is standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? So in this case, if it's negative 2x squared minus 4x plus c equals 0, okay, well, c in this case is 0. So a equals negative 2, b equals negative 4, c equals 0. So that is the very first step. If you're confused how we got that, we can say that a is negative 2, we can say that b is negative 4, and c is 0. So the next step that we want to do is we want to go into our vertex formula, which is negative b over 2a. In this case, we have negative 4. Okay, be very careful because there's a negative in the formula there, and our b here is negative. So it has to be negative 4. Okay, over 2a, our a is negative 2. This becomes negative 4 over 4 becomes a positive 4 over 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4. This whole thing is equivalent to a negative 1. Okay, so what is this? This is the x value of our vertex, okay, at negative 1. So now, step number 2 is plug it in. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in. So we know that our equation is f of x equals negative 2x squared minus 4x, right? However, we have a vertex value for negative 1. So plug it in here. We're going to say f of negative 1 is equivalent to negative 2, negative 1, plug it in, squared minus 4, again, times our negative 1. All we did was we said there's an x, it's a negative 1. There's an x, it's a negative 1. Go ahead and solve for this now. So we have negative 1 squared is 1 times negative 2. This is going to be a negative 2. Negative 4 minus a negative 1. This becomes a positive 4. So you have a negative 2 and a positive 4 becomes a positive 2. So f of negative 1 equals a positive 2. That means our vertex point is negative 1, comma 2. That's our vertex. If you need a second to pause the video, go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we found our vertex, also our access of symmetry. So step 3 is access of symmetry, S-Y-M-M-E-T-R-Y. I think that's how you spell symmetry. Anyway, access to symmetry is basically our x value, the value of vertex. In this case, our access to symmetry is negative 1. That's your answer for your access to symmetry. Okay? And last but not least, step 4, when it asks you to find a value for the, what was it, the y-intercept? Y-intercept. So at the y-intercept, you have to remember that x equals 0. Okay? So what we do is you go ahead and plug it in, and we know that f of 0 is going to be negative 2, 0 squared minus 4 times 0. That's all going to be 0. That's all going to be 0. So f of 0 equals 0. So your y-intercept is equivalent to 0. So those are the three things that we need. We have our y-intercept of 0. We have our axis of symmetry is negative 1. And we have our vertex of negative 1, comma 2.